Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I have another review video, and we're looking at the Watercolor Confections by Prima Marketing. I have two of the 5 sets. I have Tropicals and Pastel Dreams. So you can see them here in they come in these really nice travel tins. Like I said, there are 5 different sets. There's Decadent Pies, Shimmering Lights, and the Classics, as well as these two. And I did see a peek online from Creativation this year. There may be 2 more sets coming out, so I'm excited to see what those are. But I just picked up these to try first and see if they're worth picking up. So the Tropicals I had already opened and swatched. The Pastel Dreams here, this is how they come. And I am a sucker for packaging. I'll admit that's primarily why I bought these, because they are just cute and adorable and fun colors. So they almost look like candy. So they come wrapped like this. It isn't uncommon for half pan watercolors to come wrapped like this, but just the colors are super cute. On the bottom of the packaging is the corresponding number. Now I noticed the Tropicals didn't have names, just numbers. The Pastel Dreams had numbers and names. I don't know if that's consistent with the other sets, but I did see online it looks like they are going to have just individual half pans available for purchase. So there's nothing on the pans themselves that indicate what the color is, so I just took a black Sharpie and wrote the number on the bottom of the pan. That way, if I've used up a color that I really enjoyed and want to buy it again, then I know which one it is, what number it is, and then I can go ahead and pick that up. Just a little tip there. And these aren't traditional watercolor names like you would find from like Daniel Smith watercolors, based off of the pigments that are included in the paints. These, I would say, they say they are a fine art or artist quality paint. I think they're probably a little bit closer to a crafting paint. Now, I am not an artist. I'm not trained or anything like that. I'm primarily going to use these in my Bible art journaling and maybe some other craft projects, but I'm not going to be creating elaborate paintings to hang on the wall. I may create some items that get scanned into the computer, but really I am just a hobbyist when it comes to watercoloring, so I'm not overly worried about light fastness and things like that. So just keep that in mind. I'm looking at these from a crafting perspective. So, and I think the price point is great for that. You know, I really enjoyed the Daniel Smith products that I've picked up and used, and they're beautiful paints, but for what I use them for, I just can't justify spending that money. These sets on Amazon were pretty reasonable. Most of them are under $20 for a set, and from what I've read and heard online, these tins cost almost that by themselves. So it's a pretty good deal. So you can see here I'm just taking a Sharpie and writing on the bottom of them. They come in several different color families, and if you are, a trained artist, you may not appreciate these colors because you can mix a lot of your own colors on your own. You can see here, if they do come out like that, don't worry about it. Once you get the little cake wet, it will stick in the pan. That does not mean that there's something wrong with your watercolors. Anyways, you may be able to just mix your own colors, but I don't like to take the time to do that. So it's kind of nice to have colors that I like already mixed, and that's why I liked these sets. Here's a little tip I have for the packaging. You want to bend in those little prongs quite a bit, and then snap in these half pans into there, and that's going to hold them so they're not going to slide around. When you first get them, they slide like this. They move all over the place. But if you push those prongs in and then pop those pans back in there, then they hold them nice and tight, and that way your watercolors aren't shifting around in the packaging. And then they're held on pretty well. There is room in that center section there, that center well, that you could add another 6 half pans. So if I bought another set of these, I could divide that up between these 2 tins. Or I could have individuals. So like I said, I have a few Daniel Smith colors already in half pans that I could add a little bit of adhesive onto the bottom of those and tack them down into the center of these. That way I can carry all of my watercolors together that are like this. And this may be a little over your head if you're, just using these for Bible journaling, new to watercoloring. You're just looking for some colors that are pretty. These are perfect for that. You don't need to know what a half pan is or a full pan is or what a cake, any of that. That's just extra, art knowledge type things. But I think these are great for what I'm going to use them for. I would compare these to my Kiritake Gansai Tombi. You know how much I love those. I use those watercolors on my channel all the time. That palette is not great for traveling with. It is a pretty big palette. And so these are nice to travel with. Now, these are not a super translucent paint. Now, they are fine used over the words of your Bible, so they're translucent enough for that, but they are a little bit thicker of a paint. So if you are a trained artist, you're going to notice that these are a little more opaque. So if you wanted to do layering techniques like is common with watercolors, you'll find that they behave a little bit differently than a more expensive watercolor. Now for what I'm going to use them for, that doesn't bother me. They do have almost a like cloudiness to them when they dry. I don't want to say chalkiness because they are not at all chalky like the Michaels Artist Loft paints where they rub off and are just super annoying. I mean, you get what you pay for with those. So these don't do that. They don't rub off like that, but the color once it dries does have a little bit of a cloudiness to them, and that's probably just the nature of how the pigments were put into these watercolors. So there's probably some fillers and things like that that's causing that cloudiness. And they're thick like the Gansai Tombi are. That's more like a gouache paint, so it's a thicker paint. One nice thing about these compared to the Gansai Tombi is the Gansai Tombi, if you use a lot of the paint and get that paint really built up on your project, it almost gets a glossy or shiny stickiness to it. And that just happens with those. Now, I don't have that problem with these. They just get kind of a cloudy, but they don't get that shiny sticky. So that's just a little detail difference between the two. I love my Gansai Tombi, but it's nice to have a variety of colors that I can just reach for. Like I said, I'm a sucker for the packaging. I'm a sucker for just the prettiness of these. And so, you know, these colors right here, that the Paradise and the Sea Dream, this bottom row here, probably is just a color with a lot of white added to it. So an artist is going to look at that and think it's a waste, but I like it. It's pretty. I don't have to mess with mixing these colors out on a palette before I use it. So they're great for just quickly picking up color. Now these Pastel Dreams are just like they sound. They're pastel colors. I think pastels are meaning more like cakes. So I kind of envision, you know, the browns are like the chocolate for cake, and then these are kind of frosting colors. I think it's kind of what they're going for, but these are very pale colors. So you have to add quite a few layers to build up the intensity of the color, especially with Icy Sky and Sea Dream. Those are just very, very pale colors. So just keep that in mind. I picked these two sets because these are kind of the two sets of colors that I like to use in my journaling. The Tropicals is more like jewel tone colors, very bright, very vibrant. But both of these sets, you barely have to touch the pan. You can see I'm barely touching it with my water brush, and it's picking up pigment. So I've used watercolors in the past where you really have to kind of just scrub into the watercolor to get a good amount of pigment up. And I don't want to do that. It's hard on your brushes. It's annoying. So it's nice to just barely have to touch it and get very concentrated color. So you can see these have several places that you can mix colors if you would like. I have mixed some grays and things like that with the Tropicals set. So there's an area. They do stain the tin. That doesn't bother me. You could use like a magic eraser or something like that to clean your tin, but these colors do stain the tin that they are in. So you can see these fold up nice and small. You do have a little piece on the back here that you could hold with your finger if you're going to be painting on the go. So there is some fancy qualities to these watercolors. So, and I'm excited to see the two. I got barely a little hint of a peek of the two new sets coming out this year, and I think you're going to like them. So I'm going to show you some examples of how I've used the Tropical set in my Bible. I hadn't used the Pastel Dreams at this point in time. Like you could see, I just opened them up, but I have used them since then, and I love them just as much as the Tropicals. So this page here on the right-hand side, the Sing Praise, I used the Tropical set and just the Tropical set for watercolors. You see they do not bleed through the Bible page. What you're seeing is bleed through from my stamping, not from the watercolors. And you do get very vibrant, intense colors. So, I would compare these. I have the Koi Sketchbox set. I like those, but I have to mix a lot of the colors that are kind of the trendy colors that I like to use, and so it's a little annoying. It's kind of nice just to have the colors that you like already mixed up and ready to go. So this is another page that I use the Tropicals on. So just really beautiful bright colors. You can see they blend real well. You can get some layering even though they aren't super translucent, but you can see I can get some layering on there. So I think these are great to pick up. I would look at them and just decide which palettes have the colors that you like to use and kind of lean towards and go for those. Or try to maybe combine the sets into the tins so you're not carrying 5 tins around with you. But I definitely think they're worth picking up. So head on over to my blog. I have a blog post that matches this today, so you can take a look at some more photos of how I've used these. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber, and give this video a thumbs up if you like these types of videos. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.